Well, good afternoon, everyone. We're back with another show. And of course, anything that I say is definitely not meant to cure you or treat any diseases or even prevent disease. So, that being said, we're going to jump right in. We have a lot of great people and questions that are in the green room and as well as in social media. So, Steve, over to you.
Very good. Speaking of the green room, we've got one nice gentleman all the way down to the tip of Africa in Johannesburg, and it's a little later for him. So I'm going to get him up first. His name is David, and he has a terrific question for you, I'm sure. David, you're on with Dr. Berg.
Yes, good evening or good morning to you guys in America. Good evening from South Africa.
Hello.
Hi, how are you doing, Doctor?
Great, thanks.
So go ahead with your question, David.
Okay, good. Thanks. So I do a lot of ultra trail running, mountain running, very long distances. I try and maintain a keto diet with intermittent fasting during the week. But when I run, I've been weaning myself off sports gels, but I find that I bonk quite a lot if I don't take them. I'm trying to get myself to feed, or my body to feed off the fats rather than sugars. And I'm finding quite hard to get that right.
So basically, if you don't do the glucose, you tend to hit this wall, right?
That's correct, yes.
Yeah. I mean, are you familiar with Professor Noakes in South Africa?
Tim Noakes, yes, that's right.
Yeah, he has some great data on that. I mean, it comes with a package. It comes with a package, like diabetes, things like that. But here's the thing. I think you just need to kind of study some of the long distance runners that have got into a really good keto adaptation to the point where, or fat adaptation, where they can just oxidize fat like way better than anyone else. And because what's happening, you're running up against the loss of glycogen, and now where's the fuel? Your body just hasn't really been able to tap into the fat because you're not fully converted over yet. And that takes some time. So that's what I would shoot for as a long-term goal. Couple other things I would recommend. I would maybe as a transition, you do not the glucose, but maybe you do some fruit. Okay, try that for a while. Okay, then push that to the side. And then maybe you do maybe a starch, something like that. So it's a little bit kind of like a stair-step approach, because when you do the straight, those packs are just pure dextrose synthetic from corn syrup. They're just going to deplete a lot of B vitamins, B1, and that's going to affect your performance, as well as deplete other things too. So you're taking this refined sugar. I think they even use maltodextrin. It's just so refined, and it's it's going to be burned as fuel, but it's going to come with a package, because in order to burn that fuel, you need a lot of other nutrients. So at the very, very minimum, you should be taking, B vitamins, electrolytes, not too many, but just enough to compensate for the that refined sugar that's going to deplete, because it takes, in order to break down that sugar, it takes certain cofactors and nutrients. So what's happening, you're just creating deficiencies left and right. So we want to avoid that. Now, there is this is a real open, it's kind of a new field. A lot of people are experimenting now with, adding more, they're adding MCT oil and coconut fat to help maybe can run on that, as far as just once their body can burn actual ketones, they can start taking some of this, the fat as fuel rather than the sugar as fuel. But again, it's a new field. There's not a lot of research, but I would go more towards some of these ultra marathon runner diets that they're not doing the glucose. They're doing certain carbs, potatoes and things like that, but it's definitely not straight glucose.
Great. Yeah, I do mix it up a bit. I have obviously, sort of nuts, mixed. I've got a few different types of foods and fruits, but I'm really just trying to avoid those gels, full stop. But like I said, it happens that you need them.
Yeah, I
How lucky
understand
you
that. I totally understand. Two things too that I think will help you reduce some of those symptoms is to take more vitamin E in the form of tocotrienols, as well as sodium, like sea salt, because both of those, if you're deficient, especially if you're exercising and you utilize a lot of energy, they can actually keep at least your muscles in really good shape and keep them strong, and you'll have less fatigue just from that. But um, you'll have to be a human guinea pig to really experiment on this yourself, because there's just not a lot of research, unfortunately.
Good video. Thank you very much for the advice.
You're welcome.
Much appreciated.
All right. Thanks for coming on board, David. We appreciate that. And all of us, tip our hat to you, all that long distance running and stuff. My longest run used to be to the refrigerator, but I'm trying to avoid that a little bit more with Dr. Berg's great counsel. And speaking of places far away, Carrie from YouTube just simply wants to say, hi, Dr. Berg. Much love from your Australian followers. You have given us health, happiness, and you have changed my life. So thanks for that, Carrie. We appreciate it. And you're certainly not alone. All across the world, we've got
fantastic.
Great reports like that. And LK from YouTube, is it okay to take your vitamins and minerals during a fast? Good question.
Well, especially that's when you want to take them for sure, because you are living off no food, so you're going to make sure you get your nutrients and with very, very minimal calories, if any, and then that way you can survive a little bit better, especially if you're going into a fast with some subclinical deficiencies. So I mean, I know some people that do the fasting, and they kind of, after like 24 hours, they might feel faint, just because they're not taking enough electrolytes and things like that. So yeah, take them while you're fasting. Now you're going to probably ask about, well, wait a second. What about like the fat soluble vitamins like vitamin D? Don't you need fat for that? So shouldn't I take that with the meal? It's going to help you digest it to a certain degree, but you'll still absorb a significant amount even if you have an empty stomach. So I wouldn't worry too much about that.
Perfect. Okay, we got some really great, in my opinion, questions today, and I bet the audience will agree. And here's the first one.
Okay, question number one. What is the primary nutritional difference between adult vegetables and sprouts and microgreens?
Is broccolini a sprout or something, or is that just regular old broccoli?
I think that's a type of broccoli.
Interesting. All right. Well, so climb on that, audience. Let's see here. Let's go through the list of people in addition to David and Dr. Gant and Marcia, who are listening to us from all around the world. So we'd like to say a good morning to our viewers joining us from the UK, Canada, Mexico, Jordan, Palestine, Japan, Australia, we just mentioned, Ghana, Bangkok, Algeria. And by the way, Terry corrected me. I've been saying Nambia, but it's Namibia, if I said it, Namibia. Thank you, Terry. Hong Kong, Brazil, Tunisia, Germany, Oman, Turkey, Spain, Greece, Italy, Paraguay, Montenegro, South Africa. Thanks again, David. Denmark, Pakistan. And here's another one that he gave me. Eritrea. Come on, Terry, you got to throw me these names. Anyway, Eritrea, I think I said that right. Nepal, Taiwan, Saudi Arabia, Israel, France, the Netherlands, Nicaragua, Nigeria, Sweden, Ethiopia, India, Switzerland, Malaysia, Croatia, United Arab Emirates, Estonia, Trinidad and Tobago, the Czech Republic, Jamaica, Aruba, Slovakia, Bhutan, Zambia, been there, beautiful place, Peru, Zimbabwe, Austria, Ghana, we're getting there, folks, Poland, Iran, Qatar, Iraq, the Virgin Islands, and all across these United States, including, Atlanta, who we'll have up soon, and also my neighbor, Dr. Gant, is from Fayetteville, North Carolina, and she promises to come out to the beach at Wilmington, where I live, but says she prefers Myrtle Beach. So there's a little rabbit hole to go down. Cat Can Style from YouTube. Is it okay to drink organic ceremonial cacao while fasting? Did I say that right?
I didn't hear what you said. Ceremonial what?
CAO. like cocoa or
I'm
something?
not sure what that is.
Yeah, interesting. Well, audience, why don't you guys, if you know what CACAO is, why don't you
Oh,
explain?
cacao?
Yes, I guess that's what it is.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah, you can drink that. Yeah, not a problem.
All right, very good. Thank goodness. And me and my pronunciation today, I'm just getting an F minus, I think. Okay, let's see. Here's a good one. Karen from YouTube. I'm eating clean keto with intermittent fasting on a 22 and 2 schedule. If I drink antimicrobial formula with Manuka honey morning and night, am I still getting any benefits from autophagy? So she's chugging some honey, doc.
I think not, because out of all the things you can eat, of course, fructose, glucose, that's what honey is made out of, can inhibit, it can raise insulin. And insulin is the factor that kind of inhibits autophagy. So you really are not going to get the benefit of that. So you have other things you probably can eat would be better. I mean, you can have celery. That would probably help you a lot more. But of course, I know there's some good properties in honey. So maybe if you're taking it to help yourself with a sore throat, something like that, or you can put it topically on a burn. If it's like, I think Manuka honey has some amazing properties, and you can be used for many different things as an antimicrobial. But there's so many more antimicrobial things that you can ingest that don't create that effect.
Very good. Okay,
Like garlic, oregano oil, things like that.
Wonderful. Okay. The first question of today, Dr. Berg asked the audience, what is the primary nutritional difference between adult vegetables and sprouts or microgreens? And the audience, 90% of our respondents say sprouts and microgreens are the nutritionally dense. 10% say they have higher levels of chlorophyll.
Okay. So what's interesting about this little baby sprout, you have the seed, right? And that would also be considered a grain. Grains are seeds. And people actually eat grains, right? And then you have the sprout, which is usually about 2 to 5 days. And then you have the microgreen, which is a little bit later, up to 14 days. So it's a little bit older in the stage of development. Then you have baby greens, which is a little bit older, and then you have adult vegetables. So the peak nutrition, okay, happens right around 7 to 14 days. So you have this massive spike in these protective defense chemicals, but primarily you're getting massive amounts of phytonutrients in these phytochemicals, which, by the way, drug companies are spending a lot of money researching in their development of drugs from these phytonutrients that just have amazing properties, anti-inflammatory, you name it, anti-cancer. So what's unique about a microgreen or a sprout is you have about between 40 to up to 100 times the amount of phytonutrients than adult vegetables. So here you're trying to get your phytonutrients, your antioxidants from the vegetables, eating broccoli, which you should. But if you had the microgreens or the sprouts, it's super concentrated. You'd get a lot more. So you wouldn't have to have as much. So those people that can't seem to do the 10 to 20 cups of salad a day, like Steve, should definitely be doing microgreens or sprouts. Just put a little bit on your salad. Now, growing methods are important too, and I'm not going to get into that, but the point is, like, you can buy these microgreens at the store. They're a bit expensive because they go bad really quick, but you don't need very many. And so you're consuming this super concentrated phytonutrient. You can even grow them yourself. That can actually help you with so many different things. They're using it for autism, H. pylori, cancer. Even if someone is on chemotherapy, it helps to minimize the side effects. It also just helps you trigger enzymes in your own liver to help turn poisons into harmless particles. So if there's some type of I don't know, benzene, for example, that's very toxic. These phytonutrients help to dismantle that. So they can help you. And the last cool thing about it is that when you have the sprouts and you have the microgreens, they have the least amount of anti-nutrients, lectins, oxalates, phytates, all these things that a seed has, as well as an adult vegetable has. So you're eating something at the stage where it's of plant growth that's will give you some really cool benefits with minimal problems.
Wow. How about preparation, Doc? How can you ruin those things, or how can you get the most
Well,
out of it?
if you grow them, what you can do is I would highly recommend you grow them in actual soil, because you would get a way better product. But of course, some people grow them in different mediums that don't have the perfect thing for the microbes you want. But anyway, you grow them and you can just cut the tops off, put it in your salad and let them grow back, cut it off, put it in your salad, let it grow back. So you can use them multiple times. I'm not sure how many times you can use them, but they do grow back. And you can also buy them from the store and just, they're already going to be cleaned, and you stick them right on your salad, or get some at the farmer's market, usually has them as well. I go to the Bethesda farmer's market on Sunday, and there's a guy there that is called the salad guy. He has the best microgreens that I've ever had. So I end up buying tons of that stuff. I put in my salad. Very great health properties.
Thanks, Doc. Okay, Shrey from YouTube. Can fasting mess with a woman's hormones? My physician says as soon as blood sugar drops noticeably, cortisol kicks in, and it can further deplete a woman's progesterone levels. Thoughts?
So maybe we should just start eating more frequently, eat a lot of snacks, eat every hour and a half to keep that cortisol from going up, right? That makes a lot of sense. That is utter nonsense. In fact, you'll find that when you do fasting, you feel serene, calm, your stress goes down, your tolerance for stress goes up. What they're confusing is the counter-regulatory cortisol effect when blood sugars go down because you're not eating. But that's not going to be a big issue, because as soon as your body starts adapting within 2 to 3 days and you start getting into ketosis, you're not eating sugar. So your body runs on fat fuel. So so now you don't have this situation where you're just running on blood sugars and it goes down, and then all of a sudden you can't tap into fat, and then you have this issue. So the solution is to adapt to the ketogenic diet, and your cortisol will be fine. It's just based on misinformation. They don't know about the adaptation in the liver. They don't know about nutritional ketosis. Unfortunately, they're just not taught that. So they can't really give you a good opinion because they don't understand it.
Wow, well, this covers a lot of folks. Jack from YouTube. I'm struggling with prostate issues at 65. Your recommendations would be greatly appreciated.
The first thing, I do know this, if you're consuming dairy products, okay, if you have prostate and dairy, sometimes that doesn't mix, because the dairy can actually increase the hormonal factor, even estrogen. And actually, if you're doing definitely like milk and even sometimes cheese, you might notice that your prostate swells up. So if you're just cutting that out, that might help you. Now, many men get up multiple times a night to urinate because the prostate, they think anyway, and it could be. But I found when you start doing intermittent fasting and you cut out the carbs and you cut out the snacking, especially the late night snacking, the grazing at night when you're watching TV, you cut that out and you start doing 2 meals or even 1 meal a day, boy, your retention of urine is going to be so much better. In fact, you'll be able to sleep through the night without getting up. And then you're going to go, wait a second, I thought that was my prostate. And when in fact, it was just you have insulin resistance.
Interesting. Okay, the rest of our questions for today, unusually, are all true falser. And that's just so great, because you have a 50% chance of appearing to be a genius, even if you don't know the answer. So here's the first one to consider, Dr. Berg.
Okay, true or false? The best way to stretch a muscle is a static stretch, which basically means you're not moving the muscle, you're just holding it for about 30 seconds.
Okay, folks, what do you think about that? Let's go back to YouTube. Gregory from YouTube. My wife suffers from anemia and must continually take iron pills, and her doctors can't find the root of this issue. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, not good, because the iron pills they give you are elemental, which is really hard on the body. You should get a better source of iron. I would get liver, grass-fed liver pills or spleen pills. That will give you a much better type of iron that I think your body will find more bioavailable. The other point to look at with iron is the pH of your stomach. Chances are your hydrochloric acid is just not strong enough to be able to assimilate or pull in that iron. So these minerals don't get absorbed unless you have other factors involved. So you might benefit from betaine hydrochloride with your meals, maybe 2 or 3 or 4, even 5 of those betaine hydrochloride to help you absorb iron. Iron also can be increased with vitamin C, so you might need that as well. So I would look at your whole diet to see what's missing, because I think there's something else that's stopping you from having this issue. The other thing too, there's other forms of anemia. So let's say you're anemic and someone said you're iron anemic when in fact you're B12 anemic. That could be a world of difference. That could be another reason why you might have anemia. They can't fix it, because you can't fix it by taking iron. You need to take methylcobalamin, that type of B12.
Interesting. Okay, as usually happens, we've got a few other folks around the world that want to be acknowledged, and they are from Tibet, Albania, Thailand, Ireland, Norway, Scotland, and Egypt. So welcome you folks too. So glad that you're a part of the growing list of folks that listen to Dr. Berg's great counsel from around the world. All right, let's see. Here's another one. Nikki from Facebook wants to know, she's got her fingers crossed, can I eat kale chips while fasting?
You can, it just will inhibit your results, because when you're fasting, you shouldn't be eating. Yeah, so I would probably have those more towards when you eat than when you're fasting. I mean, the other thing that there's 2 things that don't trigger insulin very much, okay? Number 1 is fat, number 2 is fiber. So kale does have more fiber, so that's cool. So that would help. That's going to be a lot better than sugar, but still the kale chips, I don't know what they put on them, and might be an inhibiting factor. It's probably not going to contribute to your success, but I mean, it's definitely way better than other things you could be doing. So I guess it really depends on what you're comparing it to.
All right, here's an oft-asked question. Dana from Facebook. What can I do about fatigue during fasting?
That's an easy one. It's going to be one of 3 things, but usually it's going to be a lack of sodium. So you need to have some sea salt, and you'll find that your energy should go up about maybe 80% of the time. Another mineral that might create a fatigue would be a lack of potassium. So start taking potassium, find an electrolyte powder that's high in potassium. And of course, I'm not biased of my own, but that's what I would recommend. But you'd find that your energy goes up because you need a lot of potassium to run the sodium potassium pump that generates all the power to your muscle and nerves. So that will instantly give you energy. And the last thing to look at for energy is the B1. B1 is like the spark plug. And you need it when you do keto, or even you do a high carb diet. You need B1 to ignite the engine and get things working. And a lot of people are deficient. And so that may just ignite and give you more energy too. But start with the salt, do one thing at a time and see what it is.
All right. Well, I am biased to your electrolytes. Now, to be fair, I hadn't tried other powders, but I used to get cramps in my calves really bad. And if I would drink your electrolyte formula a couple hours before I ran, it seemed to alleviate that. I must also admit, I just probably wasn't hydrating well enough, but I've had great results with that electrolyte powder. Plus, it tastes great. So there you go. All right. The second question of the day is a true-falser. As we said, the best way to stretch a muscle is a static stretch for 30 seconds. And the audience, 75% of them say it's true, 25% say it's false.
Well, the 25% is correct. You know, I was taught for many years that you have to do static stretching. In fact, when I was in wrestling, I did static stretching and I ended up pulling a muscle. What happens when you think about a muscle? Muscle always comes in pairs. Okay, you have something that contracts, something that's relaxing. So let's say, for example, you're trying to relax your hamstring and you stretch it. Well, there's something called a stretch reflex, which counters the stretching because it doesn't want you to break that muscle. So within 3 seconds of stretching, you have this reflex that comes in and counters that stretch. And so here you are trying to become more flexible, and you're actually creating more damage, believe it or not. I know it's hard to believe, but there's something you can do. I'll be doing a video on this. It's a wonderful stretch by physiotherapist, athletic trainer, trains the top of the food chain as far as athletes, Olympic runners. Okay, this guy wrote a book, and stay tuned for that video. But what you want to do is you want to isolate the muscle you want to stretch, okay, the hamstring, for example, and then you take the opposite muscle and you contract it. Okay, that would be the quad, the thigh muscle. So you contract that while you're stretching in motion, hold at the end of range of motion for 2 seconds, let off, repeat 8 to 10 times. It's really great stretch. I've been doing it. I love it. You can do it with any muscle in the body, but the principle is it makes a lot of sense, and it's working. So I wish I would have known that a long time ago.
Interesting. Okay, I'm going to put up another question. Then we're going to go back to the green room for Dr. Gant. But here's the next true-falser.
All right, true or false, immobilizing the joint is the best treatment for sprains and strains, mild to moderate injuries of your joints.
Climb on that, folks, and let me unmute our next guest. And Dr. Gant, if you would remind yourself to unmute, you are on with Dr. Berg.
All right, can you?
Yes.
All right, hey there.
Oops, you are breaking up a little bit. Maybe get a little closer to the mic.
Can you hear me now?
Perfect.
Oh, good. My question is for my patients that are diabetics and they are fat. What do you think is the best fasting window for a person that's over 40 trying to lose weight, avoid the fluctuating?
Did you get all that, Doc?
Well, I got the gist of it, but you kind of phased out. But I think, let me just duplicate this question. So you have, what's the best fasting pattern, this window of fasting for someone over 40, generally speaking?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I think the best pattern to start out with is the 18-hour fast, and then the 6-hour window. So that gives you this real easy thing to do by just skipping your breakfast. And that's easy to do because most people really, they're not as hungry as they think in the morning. And even if they are, it's a hunger wave that goes away if they just ignore it, because really they have this little spike in cortisol. But if you can do it in 18 hours, oh my goodness, you'll have so many amazing benefits. So after 6 o'clock, you just fast all the way to the next day, until 12, and you have this wonderful period of autophagy, and you see all these amazing benefits. That would be like the average great fasting window for someone over 40. Now, if someone's a little more hardcore and they want to see faster results and they want to bite the bullet, what you do is you push them right to a 20-hour fast. So now we have a 4-hour window and of eating, and then 20 hours of fasting. Then you're going to see some even better benefits, especially with the immune system. And then if you want to be a rock star, then you just do a 1 meal a day and you fast for 23 hours. And now it's going to take it to a whole new level. You're not going to have any hunger. Cravings are gone. You're going to feel great mood-wise. Your cognitive function's great. If you have Alzheimer's symptoms, they'll probably go away. So I notice even when I do videos, when I fast before I do a video, wow, you don't have to do much editing. But when I eat before I do a video, you got to edit that thing, chop it up. It's like, it just takes more cuts and more resources. But yeah, I like the question. I'm glad you're doing that. But 18 hours is really, really good. But you know what? Some people need to do a 14-hour or even a 12-hour, and that's going to have some benefits. But the more you can get them not to snack, the better.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
That's great. Thanks
You're
for
welcome.
joining us, Doctor, from Atlanta. Oh, no. I'm sorry. You're from Fayetteville. Okay. So come out to the beach soon. And thanks for getting on with the show. The audience is on it. The latest question was true, false. Immobilizing the joint is the best treatment for sprains and strains, mild or moderate injuries. And the audience says, or at least 65% of them say it's true. Say it's false. 35% say it's true.
The way that we were taught is to immobilize, compress, add cold. That's just what we do. But, I always like to question everything and say, is that really the best way to do it? Well, there's some new research to find that that's not the best way to do it. In fact, if you don't have a severe joint, you don't have a fracture, for example, and it's a moderate type injury or a sprain strain, it's best to add motion to that joint. Start moving it, not to the point of pain, but just start to add some motion to that joint, passive range of motion, because when you immobilize, you start creating, you don't have healing. You have scar tissue that develops right away. And they found that's not the best way to treat an injury. And they've looked at this, and there's greater research, and I will be releasing a video on this. And also, if you're going to add cold, the only reason you'd want to add cold therapy is because of pain. But other than that, it's best if you don't immediately ice it, because the blood's there to kind of add circulation and healing. So if we add a little bit of motion and we don't add ice, I'm not saying add heat, but just don't add ice, you'll find that there'll be a better healing response. I mean, you can add other things like infrared, but ice, use that only if you need to with the pain. But this whole idea of I'm going to ice it to help healing is actually a myth. I know it's hard to believe. So things that we were taught, come to find out, they're not always 100% true. But anyway, stay tuned for my video on that, because if you injure a joint, you want to keep it moving, and you're going to find that it'll heal faster, especially if you're an athlete. I mean, some of the top athletes, the book that I'm going to recommend of the guy who came up with the stretching technique also talks about this motion after an injury. And boy, he has a lot of experience with top athletes in the world injuring themselves, and he puts them right in motion right away. And then they're back playing in no time. So I like the concept, and it makes a lot of sense once you get the details.
Very interesting stuff. Okay, Star Sister is her handle from YouTube. My blood sugar is higher in the mornings than throughout the rest of the day. Am I in ketosis if my blood sugar levels are all over the place? ?
Well, I'm assuming you're doing keto. You're not doing a lot of sugar. That being said, there's something called the dawn phenomena, where your blood sugars go up because you still have a good amount of insulin resistance. And so what's happening, your signals, the sensors in your liver are going, wow, we don't have enough sugar. So what we need to do is we need to make some. And that's where it's coming from. It's not even coming from your diet. It's coming from your own body turning the protein, fat, and even ketones into blood sugar. And this process is called glucose, neo, meaning new, genesis, the creation of. So your liver is doing gluconeogenesis to make more sugar because it still has insulin resistance. But that will go away with time. I wouldn't worry about it. If you are worried about it, all you have to do in the morning is take a long walk and just burn off that sugar. But there's things that you can speed it up. The way to actually fix insulin resistance is to cut down the carbs, do intermittent fasting, keep your stress low, because cortisol can be a big factor in making sugar, because the cortisol causes your body to do more of that gluconeogenesis. And then apple cider vinegar with water is a good thing. You can add cinnamon to the water too. Cinnamon is a really good thing for blood sugars. Berberine is another thing you can do. Exercise. There's a whole series of things you can do to speed up this process of getting rid of insulin resistance, especially like vitamin D and B1.
All right, Daria from YouTube. I have anemia and high cholesterol levels. I'm so confused about what I can and cannot eat. Help!
Go back to the basics. Don't make it complex. Just do the keto, the healthy version of keto, and do nutrient-dense foods. And that's really the key is when you're doing these foods, does it include all the nutrients? Well, I show people in the books and in my videos what to eat. And if you eat foods that are not only keto, but are loaded with the iron and the B12, you're going to be fine. It's when you don't do that, there's a problem. Like, let's say you want to get your iron from spinach, for example. Well, good luck. That's not the best source of iron to prevent anemia. Or let's say you're even doing antacids, right? And you're trying to get rid of your anemia. Good luck, because that's going to get rid of the acid that's necessary to absorb iron and actually have it go in your body. So you just stick with the healthy version of keto, and you'll come out fine.
Very good. Yeater from YouTube. I have gastritis and acid reflux. What can I do to address these issues?
There's a couple things. Zinc carnosine is good. Cabbage with the sulforaphane seems to help H. pylori, which is behind sometimes gastritis and things like that. So I think at this point, if you have this inflammatory stomach, I wouldn't recommend taking betaine hydrochloride. Instead, I would just do these other things, like I said, and then slowly heal it so then the stomach can be healthy, and then go back to the normal healthy ketogenic diet. But I have videos on gastritis. You can also do licorice root is another thing. There's a whole series of things that you can do to help that. But the bottom line is, a symptom is just an indicator that there's a problem. Once, as you treat it, realize there's a deeper cause, and it's probably somehow you didn't get the core eating plan implemented yet long enough to create the effects. Probiotics are another great way to deal with gastritis because it handles the gut microbes, which have a huge influence over these other digestive organs, believe it or not. So they all work together, but I always recommend a good probiotic if you have gastritis.
Okay, very good. I'm going to come on camera here because it's confession time. Christy from YouTube has a question about Lyme disease, and my hypochondria skyrockets whenever I go into the woods during the summer because I imagine that there are ticks all over me just injecting Lyme disease. And in fact, I went to the doctor once. I told my family, it's up here on my head, and I'm just sure, and it's swollen, it's red, and so on. And they followed me to the doctor, and the doctor said, well, it's really kind of a cut. Do you want a Band-Aid? And no, I don't want a Band-Aid. I was so embarrassed, and my family laughed at me. But anyway, I just want to set up the next question because I'm really paranoid about ticks giving me Lyme disease. And so far, apparently I just have cuts on my head and no Lyme disease. So let's go back to Christy. She says, please discuss the best way to get rid of Lyme disease. So I guess she did have it.
I'm very, and I'm not telling you to follow this advice. Just my opinion is that I'm very much against the long-term antibiotics for Lyme because they wipe out your defenses, and then it's just not a win-win situation. These spirochetes are very stealth, and they can go up into the brain. They can go into this remission state. The real solution is to keep your defenses very, very strong, keep the stress low, and also do the natural antibiotics like the garlic, the thyme, the sage, the oregano oil. And there's protocols for Lyme that I'm not going to get into. You can read up on that. I had Lyme. That's what I did. And but it's a good probiotic. But it's, you really have to build up your immune system as the primary goal. I would say in a given year, I would have maybe 30 ticks I would find on my body. And many times I've had the butterfly rash. So of course, there's a chance that could have contributed to Lyme, but at this point, I'm just focusing on keeping my immune system strong, and I have not had a problem, believe it or not. So, but it's interesting because these ticks tend to stick on you and they numb the area. You don't even know they're on there. And then one day you just happen to be looking down and what is that? A little scab, and then you find it's a darn tick and you pull it out. So that's happened so many times because I'm on a farm. But it is a situation. Unfortunately, you're going to have to, when you get home, if you're outside, take your fingers through your hair and just kind of really feel around. If you have a dog, boy, they will bring these ticks in left and right. You're going to have to check your dog and check out your body every day to make sure there's no ticks. But I understand your problem, and it is a situation. I wish there was a simple solution, but it's a battle between these very stealth, evil microbes and trying to defend against that.
Well, Christy, we are all pulling for you. Hope you heal and feel better from that terrible situation. Okay, let's see. Here's another true-falser for the audience, Doc. There it is.
Okay, the fact that the stomach pH is so acidic, between 1.5 and 3, indicates that we have a good ability to digest meat. Is that true or false?
All right, folks, climb on it. And let's go back to the green room, and this time from Atlanta, Georgia, we have Marcia. And Marcia, let me unmute you. And you are on with Dr. Berg with your terrific question.
Hi, Dr. Berg.
Hi.
So I've had really large fibroids, and I wanted to avoid a hysterectomy. So that brought me to my journey with keto with you. And so thank you. My question is, I have lingering sort of indigestion now and a pulling that's happening right on this side. And I'm just wondering, what should I be doing more frequently or eating more of in order to take care of this lingering problem?
So the fibroids are creating a pulling sensation and it's uncomfortable. Is that what you're saying?
I either reduction of, because I've gone from 192 to 165. I think I'm doing well on the keto. So, but that's causing this now to flare up and sort of, bother me at this point. So I don't know what to eat, what to do better.
Okay. It was really hard to hear you, but I think I understand what you're asking. Steve, did you hear her? Maybe did you want to clarify, or should I just jump right in what I think she asked?
Well, I think you should, Doc, and then you correct us, Marcia, if he's on the wrong track.
So she's feeling this sensation, and she had the fibroids. I think they're getting better, but there's still a sensation. She lost weight, and like, how do we get rid of some of the scar tissue that is developed in this area? Would that be the right question?
Yes.
Okay, good. All right, great. So we're dealing with this thing called fascia and connective tissue, and it's just like an injury. You injure your fascia. Fascia is like the saran wrap that holds everything together, and you have a lot of fascia that has been holding this fibroid in. Hopefully, it's shrinking down to nothing, but there's still probably some fascia and adhesions into this area. So I think the absolute best thing to do is to manually get in there and start working out some of the fascia. So you can do like a fascial type trigger point type therapy in the abdomen area, as well as fascial stretches in your lower part of your body and the upper part, because it's all connected. You have all these different connections from even up to the back of your neck all the way down to your shoulder and your hip and down to your leg. They're in these sheaths of connective tissue that need to be stretched. And I think you're going to find when you do that, you're like, wow, I really feel these adhesions in my abdomen way more. And then you're going to have to work those out and do fascial stretching. And you're going to find that that'll give you more space in your abdomen. And then the discomfort will go away. But that's really what you have to do. And you can manually going in there and do some work as well. But You're going to have to stimulate it, and that's going to increase blood flow, which is going to help. Also, don't forget about two things: autophagy from doing the prolonged fasting, that'll help get rid of some of that damaged protein, collagen, as well as the tocotrienols, which also help with anything scar, anything adhesions. That's a really good thing as well.
Okay, that's great. Well, thank you so much, Marcia, for joining us and being so patient there in the green room. And again, you can stick around and just watch the rest of the show as we move forward. And let's see. And quiz question number 4, we already have the consensus or the answers from the audience. And it asks, the fact that the stomach pH is so acidic, and I won't read the amount, indicates that we have a good ability to digest meat. And 72% of our respondents say it's false, and 28% say it is true.
Now, I'm just curious how many people would agree or disagree with that, because if you think about it, if you take a cat or a dog, their pH is even more acidic than that. I mean, it's down to like 1 to 2, and their bodies digest meat very well. Raw meat, they can digest it without chewing it. So if our pH is that acidic, I don't know. The logic is that we have the ability to break down meat. So if you take a cow that's not designed to eat meat, what is the pH of their stomach? Is it that acidic? It's almost neutral. It's like 6.4. It's almost neutral. So we're dealing with a huge change in pH, right? So one way to know kind of what we have the ability to digest is just to look at the digestive system and kind of understand some of these basics. But yeah, our bodies do have the ability to digest meat because of this pH. So as we get older, the pH gets worse and worse and worse, and then we don't have the ability to digest meat. And so really depends on the acidity in your stomach. When you hit 80 years old, like your pH is probably going to be 5, maybe even 6, and you're going to have a harder time digesting meat. So when people say, well, I'm getting older, I really don't want to do red meat, well, it's probably because they just don't have the acid. But the real key thing to know is one of the problems with getting older is this thing called sarcopenia, which you're losing muscle. And so we do need a good amount, sufficient amount of protein as we age. So don't forget that. And if we talked about sprouts before, sprouts have protein, but don't rely on sprouts for your protein because it's so incomplete. It's not going to be enough. You're going to need some. You might need to eat things that have eaten sprouts, like cows. So I'm actually a vegan on a via. I'll eat cows that eat grass. So I get my grass indirectly.
Oh, that's interesting.
But I eat salad as well.
Yeah. Well, I'm jealous of all the great things you eat out there. Okay, here's our final question. Speaking of digestion.
Yeah. All right. The fact that our large colon microflora, good bacteria, ferments, okay? It ferments, indicates that we should have the ability to digest plant fiber. Is that true?
Well,
or false?
The audience, I tell you, you guys are the reason our show runs so well. You just don't waste any time on these questions. And so this show, we were able to get them all out. And the reward for that from this audience is that we can now go 100% social media for the rest of the show, unless you have a dialogue for us, Doc. And let's see. Oh, well, wait a minute. I'm going to bring up a graphic because this question is perfect. There's the graphic. And the question is can your products be shipped to Kenya? Is that true or false?
You know, that's a very good question. I don't know. I doubt it, but you can check. We'll put a link down below to see where it comes from. Right now, we're actively working on trying to make things available in different parts of the world. So you can check that, see if that works, but eventually we will. I'd also like to try to get to Australia. But we're working on that. And the other thing I'm working on, since we're talking about products is some really great things coming in the future with, I really want to just grow all of our ingredients myself, not myself, but just with certain farmers and myself involved in doing the testing. So we isolated the farm. We're actively have a plan to do that. And I'm really excited because now I'll be able to do all the microbial testing and the microbial testing of the plant, the herbs, and wow. Talk about quality, talk about just the research and the fun of just trying to take that to a whole new level. So I'm excited about that, and stay tuned for some great information on that.
Fantastic. And let's say, audience, you wanted to watch one of Dr. Berg's videos and you scour through Google and you get a little frustrated. Well, there's a remedy, and it's called the Dr. Berg app, which is available on your iPhone or through Google Play or whatever, and they're all neatly organized in there. And you'll be able to ferret down through that and get the answer you need quickly and for free on the app. It's no charge at all, so just download that and enjoy the results of your queries. Okay, and let's see. I tell you, Terry is also a big advocate of the audience, because if I miss a question, he'll regurgitate it, and this must what happens. So the handle is 1 minute interview. That's the person's nom de plume. From YouTube, what is the best form of choline we can take? Choline by tartrate, CDP, or alpha CPC. Does that make any sense, Doc?
Yeah, they're all really good. Phosphatidylcholine is good. They all have slightly different forms, and but they're all. I wouldn't say one is better than the other. It's just different forms that can actually get the choline in your body. But choline is really good for helping make that neurotransmitter acetylcholine. It's also good to prevent a fatty liver. It's also good to help break down fats. I have a problem with choline. I need to take that supplement each day based on my DNA test. And I've been getting a lot of comments like, Dr. Berg, when are you going to, explain more about this DNA? I'm working on it. Hang in there. I just have to, create like over 100 videos for this topic. So that way, when someone gets their report, they can go to the video that they need to learn about based on their problem with the DNA, because it's a bit complex now, and I want to simplify it and make it really simple. And that takes a little bit of time. So be patient. And that's why we call you a patient.
Okay. And this is a question, true, false. The fact that, this is one we've asked, and you asked the audience, the fact that our large colon microflora ferments indicates that we have the ability to digest plant fiber. And the audience was right on it as usual. Our final question, 55% of respondents say it's true, and the remaining 45% say that it is false.
Well, I think, the way we're taught about the large colon, large intestine, it's like, oh, it just does two things. It recycles water. You absorb water, so to prevent dehydration, and it also electrolytes. But what about the fermentation part? You ferment. That's right. That's the large intestine. So just the fact that we have acid stomach and we have also the last part being fermentation tells us kind of what food we should be eating. It's a combination, an omnivore, a combination of plant and animal. And it doesn't mean that you can't live exclusively on plants or just animals, but our body can do both. And I find the combination is the best. But if you are a carnivore and you're going, well, I don't really need plants, you can still ferment protein. You can ferment collagen and cartilage and things like that. So there's even fermented fish, in certain cultures. So you can do that as well. And that's, I think, good for really for people with digestive issues. But the point is that there's a lot of benefit when these microbes are fed fiber. You start making small chain fatty acids, and if you create a deficiency of that, the colon cells don't always get to be fed, and they can have a problem because that can help build the layer of mucus in your colon and add for that strong barrier. So there's a lot of benefits from feeding the microbes and having them give us other things. But when you start changing your diet one way or the other, boy, the whole microflora completely changes. I mean, pretty quick. So it's constantly adapting. I think your core health really depends on these microbes, the level of microbes. So the diversity of microbes. And if you have a wide range of different plants or herbs, you can really create a really nice diverse microbiome that can then give you different things that you maybe couldn't get before, and actually help you digest various things, because now you have maybe microbes that can break down oxalates, which decrease your ability to get kidney stones, or break down even lactose. I don't know, that could be a possibility. But a lot of these microbes actually even make bile salts. So they're fascinating creatures, and I'm doing a deep dive now. And we have the ability to ferment. And if you have too much fiber and you don't have enough microbes, you could probably get an over fermentation, or even not be able to keep up with that and get gas. So you can use your digestive system to really determine what you should be eating just by testing certain things out and see how you feel on different foods.
That's terrific. Well, I tell you what, I forgot to get some acknowledgement to Marcia Mitchell from Atlanta, who lost 35 pounds, she mentioned, and for that she gets what's known as the Dr. Berg Bell. So that's for you, Marcia. Congratulations, and keep that up. And as promised, we're going to wrap things up on YouTube. Oh, wait a minute. Maggie from Facebook says, thank you for the app, Dr. Berg. It's amazing. So Maggie is acknowledging that that's a great free thing to download on your Android or Apple phone. Let's see. I think we've wrapped up all the questions. And let me find another one from our social media. Well, let's see. Britta from Facebook. When I cut out carbs, I lose too much weight. What should I do to deal with this problem? Well, you can hang around with Steve McMillan, and I'll plump you up in a week. But no, there's probably a healthier way to do that. Dr. Berg, what do you recommend?
Yeah, you're going to have to just increase your calories. Unfortunately, eat more food, but try not to do multiple meals. Maybe add more fat for sure, because that way, at the very least, your body won't be using your stored fat anymore. It'll be using the dietary fat as the fuel. So it's more fat, it's more calories. I have that problem as well. So join the club. I even made my own called keto bricks, which you're using cacao powder and different things, and you're making these very interesting 1,000-calorie, I guess they're just bricks, and you just eat it. Some people don't like the taste, but I'm experimenting with this, so stay tuned. I'll actually share a recipe with everyone if you wanted to gain weight, but I wouldn't recommend them if you are trying to lose weight, because this is going to add more calories unnecessarily. And on that note, Steve, I don't know, am I premature? Oh yeah, it's only...
Well, maybe a little bit. Why don't we get one more question? We promised a lot of action for social media. Let's see. Okay, now here's one, Nadal. Yeah, I think I already went for her. Excuse me. All right, audience, I'm going to get it together. Ooh, Siddhartha from YouTube. What is the best way to stop vomiting during a pregnancy? Poor thing.
The typical thing that kind of comes up, because that can come from a number of things, and it's really, really about make sure you're going into the pregnancy and do the whole process. You're eating really healthily, getting all the nutrients, because I will say that a certain deficiency could be zinc, could be B6 deficiency that could actually increase the risk of vomiting as well. Nauseousness, vomiting, it also could be gallbladder. There's could be many different reasons for that. I'm sorry to hear that. I don't really have another answer for you because I don't know your history, but that's the best time to eat healthy, is right at that point, and especially once you have the baby and then you're breastfeeding, hopefully. Just really get your diet like really pristine, and try to breastfeed as long as possible. And that baby is going to have a great chance of doing very well and with their immune system. And don't try to have the child in a completely sterile environment. Let them go on the floor and get outside and experience some of the microbes. That's going to start developing the immune system, because the mother gives the innate immune system. So you got that going for you. And then you have this acquired immune system that's developed with experience and exposure to microbes and going through infections. And just because a child gets sick, don't try to suppress that. Let them go through the process. Let the immune system develop. On that note, have a wonderful weekend. Thank you for your wonderful questions, attention. And I have some interesting videos coming up this next week too.